Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Spartan Spear Football Preview Show. I feel like I say it differently every week. Look, ladies and gentlemen, we have a historic show here today. No, it is not the first time we have four people. We do have four people here today, but we have a historic prediction moment. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. Derek Al, and I'm going to spoil it now. Derek Al, who's back with me per usual, has had the first time in the Spartan Football Preview Show predictions. He has guessed the score exactly correct along with the winner. Look, ladies and gentlemen, along with me, of course, is Derek Al. We've got the other Max in the Spear class. That's Max Beckholt and Spartan Football Preview Show legend. I believe it's his third or fourth time back. That's Gio Gaxiola. But look, I got to go to the man, the myth, the legend, the man who has made history in this preview show, and that's Derek Al. Derek, look, 27-20, San Jose State takes down UNLV, and you called it.
We are the champions, my friends. Get used to it because my football team, you know who they are. I've, if you guys follow me on social media, you know who my football team is. Max B will probably say something about it. You know, it is what it is. We won't get to sing that song probably in Inglewood this year. But man, you know, that game was mighty, mighty close, and I think it should have been. But, you know, second half, they recovered really well. And Kyle Harmon was, you know, in that life in the fast lane. And he just delivered one of the most punishing sacks I've ever seen. And give credit to the Spartans, man. Second half adjustments, they made it work. And, you know, on to Wyoming. Kevin Costner will not be at the game. Neither will Josh Allen. So, you know, I like to get my Yellowstone references out there. And hopefully the Spartans can avoid a Dune. Wink, wink. Now, you guys are probably looking up what I just gave a reference to. Of course, that's a movie that just came out. And Max, if you follow Max on Twitter, he's your Oscar analyst. And we're get closer to Oscar season, you know, and obviously all these movies come out, you know, strategically planning these movies to come out. But yeah, 27-20, I gambled. So let's get crazy. Let's get nuts. By the way, that's Prince. So
look, Derek, it's against Las Vegas. Let's throw it over to our seasoned veteran as well, Gio Gaxiola. Gio, what did you see last week from the San Jose State team? Obviously, Derek mentioned the second half adjustments and his wonderful prediction that was 27-20. What did you see from the Spartan offense? I'm honestly a little surprised Kyle Harmon did not get a roughing the passer for that walk-off sack. That was a vicious tackle. Gio, welcome to the show, and tell me what you saw from this Spartan team last week.
Well, you know, Kyle Harmon is obviously the leader of the defense, but when we talk about offense, can we just keep on talking about Mr. Derek Deese Jr.? This guy's draft stock just keeps on rising every game he's playing. Again, another 100-yard game this week. I mean, this guy's going to probably tear it up again against this Wyoming defense. So that's probably one of the big things I saw from the offense. And another big thing I saw from the offense is, I guess, everyone really adjusting to Nick Nash coming in. Now that's at the second or third game that Nash has been in. Now the offense is starting to get a little more comfortable with him. They're starting to run the little run options a little more. And I guess it's just been gelling a little more. Just need some games to work out the kinks.
Look, we got to throw it to our newbie. It's fellow Max here, but this is Max Beckholt here. Look, Max, what did you see from the game last week? Obviously, there was some news. Obviously, on the broadcast, we saw Nick Starkel throwing before the game, so he was in a sling in weeks past. And I will say this before I let you go here, Max B. Derek did mention that he wanted to see different options, different uses for Nick Nash last week, maybe some quarterback runs. Finished with 17 carries. He led the team in rushes. He had over 100 yards rushing on the ground. What did you see from this Spartan team last week against UNLV?
Yeah, and we might be foreshadowing a little bit for our breakdown of this week's game. But I really like to see that quarterback run game and that overall run game. I think running the ball is going to be a recipe for success for this Spartans team moving forward. And so I think that was a really nice grinded out win. UNLV plays teams tough. You know, their record is really, really rough, but they've had some really, really solid games where they've played teams tough. So the Spartans grinding one out, running the ball really well. Their defense played well in the second half. Like, I saw a lot out of that game that gives me a lot of confidence moving forward, I think.
Look, we see the offense starting to really start to gel, as Gio said, with Nick Nash. Look, Kyle Harmon finished last game with 11 tackles. That's wild. Nobody else was in double digits. Nehemiah Shelton had 9. Look, this defense looks like they're starting to round into form. This game was very reminiscent to me, a lot like how the game against San Diego State happened last year in the championship season. However, the two opponents are very different. Obviously, we know what happened this year in the San Diego State game. Max B's put his finger. He wants to say something here. What you got?
Yeah, it's worth noting, looking at UNLV's recent schedule, they've played Fresno State, who is one of the best teams, if not the best team in the Mountain West Conference. lost to them by 8. UTSA, who is currently ranked in the top 25, they lost to them by 7, lost to Utah State by 4. This is a team that plays teams really, really tough. They have a very, very misleading record, in my opinion. And so San Jose State getting that grinded out win, huge.
Definitely. He's coming in here with some hot takes. Derek, let me throw it to you. Let's move it towards this week's game here. They play the Cowboys. No, Gio, not the Dallas Cowboys. We know you're a big Cowboys fan. They play the Wyoming Cowboys here. Look, Derek, what are you seeing? Does Starkle come in? If he's healthy and ready, does Starkle get the starting job back? Or with the adjustments that were just made for this week with Nick Nash, does he continue to start with the team after now 2 out of 3 wins from him under center?
Spartans will save a horse, ride a cowboy. Let's harp on last week's game. I know we talked about Derek Deese. We talked about him for like this entire season, but Charles Ross looks like he finally finally showed up. I mean, 6 catches, 63 yards. The UNR transfer. He's just trying to find his footing in the Spartan offense. So give him credit for just making those big 2nd and 3rd down conversions. But like I said, Wyoming right now, 4-3. They've kind of had an interesting schedule. They beat Montana State, Northern Illinois. Shout out to our friends at Ball State, Ian Hansen, Connor Smith, Ball State legends. They got beat 45-12. UConn, let's just say UConn's not the football school. We tend to think UConn's a sports powerhouse, but basketball season's starting up in a month, and I'm sure they want revenge for the NCAA tourney. Then of course, lost to Air Force, got shut out at Fresno State, then kind of got an upset against New Mexico. They're trying to ride the wind here, and they're going through quarterback change. And I know Max Beckholt will have that for you more momentarily, but I expect this to be a low-scoring game. I don't see this being a thriller night. Shout out to the late great Michael Jackson, and yes, Halloween weekend. How apropos is it to sing that song? But I think the defensive line. I see this being a kind of they're hungry in terms of getting sacks. We saw Kate Hall finally open up the sack account against San Diego State. Vilami Fehoko got his 2nd multi-sack game of the season against the Rebels. Kyle Harmon had that, mighty vicious hit like a freight train. I see like this defensive line just having a field day with them, and turnovers. I think that's the key. It's just trying to get multiple turnovers. Nick Nash did fumble twice last week. Just a couple of on basic handoffs and stuff like that. So I would like to see this team just kind of, win the turnover battle, trying to get more interceptions, and also the penalties need to stop. I mean, I think they just need to be more disciplined. And I think that's going to come this week. So I feel like all these things will come together. And, obviously this is a crossroads game, not the Cody Rhodes wrestling finishing move, but this is a crossroads game. Both teams trying to get to a bowl game. San Jose State 500, Wyoming's 4-3. So, it's going to be interesting to see which team's going to be playing in December and which team will be watching Yellowstone on Paramount Network in December.
Look, I mean, it's going to be an interesting game. I think this is going to be a very good matchup between two teams that are very similar. I do love the shout out to our Ball State friends. For those that have been watching our show, last year for our ball game against Ball State, we had Ian on it and others that Derek mentioned. I apologize. But look,
Connor
Smith.
Ian
Connor, thank you. I apologize, Connor.
Wow.
I know I'm paying you to do it, but look, I'm so mad at you guys for that Ball State win. But look, one thing that Max B told us before this podcast was that Wyoming dominates the MAC and San Jose State doesn't. Look, but before I go to you, Max B, to talk about what Derek said, I want to throw it to Gio. Obviously, you mentioned Derek Deese. I want to get your take. Does Starkle come back, and does he take the starting role? And if that does that elevate Deese to another level? And does that elevate, Charles Ross to another level? I think adding that passing element really can open up things for maybe Tyler Nevins, who had an off game last week. I think he's getting really burned out. They're using him a lot, but I mean, he's their most effective running back. And obviously, I think the D-line has really started to show up this year, and the penalties, Derek, they got to stop. You're right. Gio, what you got for me on possibly in Starkle? Give me your take there and what you could see for the Spartan team going into next week against Wyoming.
Well, if Starkville does come back this week, one thing they're going to have a problem with is that Wyoming raced first in the Mountain West and averaging the least amount of passing yards with 152 over the year. And they lead the Mountain West with 3 pick six this year. SJSU, if Starkville does come back for SJSU, then he's going to really have to take care of the ball against this Wyoming secondary. They're going to be hungry out there. And if that's the case, then the O-line also has to start protecting well. They got to limit the penalties up front, guys. Both sides, offensive line, defensive line, watch the ball, know the cadence. That's one of the biggest things that SJC has to work on this week.
Look, Max B, I know you've got some more advanced analytics here. He's the grad assistant here at the Spear. So he's got that extra knowledge, a veteran knowledge here, but he's not a veteran of the show. It's time for him to show out. What do you got going in for this game against the Cowboys here, Max?
Well, okay. So first of all, what I'm going to look at is the San Jose State quarterback situation, which I would absolutely start Nick Nash. As Gio just mentioned, Wyoming is much stronger in the pass defense than they are in the rush defense. And also, frankly, Nick Nash been a little bit more effective in the pass game. I know Nick Starkel obviously has the big arm, and it just adds a whole different dimension to the offense when San Jose State has him in. But I think this is going to be a game similar to a little bit the San Diego State game, where it's going to be win the turnover battle, win the field position battle, get some yards, try to get into field goal range type of thing. And I think Nick Nash against that Wyoming rush defense is going to be a little bit more effective. Also, Wyoming making quarterback change this week. They've got a third-year freshman, which is one of the most rare things you can say in college football is third-year freshman. But he seems to be a lot more effective with his legs. When you look at his stats, he's got like 8 rushing touchdowns on his career and like 2 or 3 pass touchdowns. And he's got some interceptions. His completion rate is really, really low. Like, it seems like a little bit of a desperation move for them to be switching quarterbacks right now. Their pass game has been pretty atrocious all season. Their offense in general hasn't been very good, Wyoming's. And so seeing them switch quarterbacks, going to a running quarterback, I expect a lot of option play probably out of Wyoming this week. And I think that San Jose State defensive line can really handle that. So I'm looking at a week that kind of lines up nicely for a little bit of a momentum win for San Jose State going into the real meat of their schedule that they have coming up. They've got a really tough schedule coming up. Getting this little momentum could really, really help them out.
Definitely. I think that's interesting here that you bring that up about Wyoming's quarterback change. Look, the Spartans, when they're getting beat on defense, it's not on the ground. That's the interesting part. The Spartans are giving up over 200 yards per game on the air, 222.4 according to ESPN here. Look, the Spartans, we knew their secondary wasn't going to be as good going in with, Trey White out of the secondary, excuse me. Obviously, the transfers moving out, resetting after the long season last year. We knew the secondary wasn't going to be as good. And obviously, with the D-line and the linebackers struggling to get the quarterback early in the year, this team's secondary has really been relied upon. So they're getting used a lot. So the way to beat this San Jose State Spartans defense, they just hate it, is through the air. So it is interesting that Wyoming would be bringing in more of a mobile quarterback here. Now, look, the Spartans are giving up over about 122 yards a game on the ground. So that's not great by any means, but I would say that's kind of middle of the pack. That's not otherworldly giving it up. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of game plan Wyoming brings into this game. Look, ladies and gentlemen, this is a home game for the Spartans. They've only had 2 this year. 2, count them 2. So the Spartans, they're looking to get home, get rolling. Obviously, Max B preference, we've got obviously Fresno State still on the schedule, Nevada still on the schedule, and this season is look, it's not a lost season. Bowl game is still very much so in the picture. All I got to do is win 2 games. Winning the Mountain West, that's gone. It's San Diego State, Fresno State. We know this. But look, ladies and gentlemen, we got to bring it back to the historic moment here as we move towards the end of the podcast. Derek Gow has, once again, he predicted a perfect score of 27-20 against UNLV. Look, ladies and gentlemen, Max B, I hope you've prepped your prediction. I know Gio's got it. Gio's got it on lock. But Derek, can you go 2 weeks in a row predicting the perfect score?
How can you disrespect Southern Utah? We've had 3 home games, brother. 3, New Mexico State. You disrespected the Maggies. You disrespected the Thunderbirds, not the U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds that are going to be at my local air show in Salinas this weekend. The Southern Utah Thunderbirds. Come on, we've had 3 home games. I'm sure Jeff Konya is watching this saying, Max, you got to do your research a little bit, bud. But anyways, this is going to be a low-scoring game. I just see this being more ground control. Of course, they'll be passing. Come on, it's 2021. This isn't the Y.A. Tittle college football days. But I like San Jose State in this one, 17-9 over the Cowboys. Like I mentioned, I think the Wyoming's head coach Craig Bowles trying to find an answer at QB. Went from Sean Chambers to Levi Williams, which means it's desperado. Why don't you come to your senses? Legendary Linda Ronstadt song with the Eagles. So I feel like this, it's going to come down to defense, and hopefully the secondary can get a turnover. I would really like to see that. And just see this team just take the country roads, take me home to the place I belong, to 5 and 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Derek is on point today.
Yeah, I'm on point. John Denver, by the way, look it up, ladies and gentlemen. But the game is on FS2, by the way, FS2, not one, not Fox, FSU2, wink, wink. So it's on FS2, 1 o'clock, and somebody's broadcasting that game on KSJS. Is that? Oh, it's me. That's right. Your brother, Derek Au, broadcasting live and free for you to see. I know we got the Halloween parties later at night. Don't worry, this game's at 1 p.m., so you have plenty of time to change. Listen to me and Aikman Fane do our thing. We will start our pregame at 12:45, so we will be there live at CEFQ Stadium, and I expect to be a little rocking. I know kids will be craving candy afterwards, and I think the Spartans will get all the treats on their country roads to 5 and 4.
All right, boys, we got to shift away here from this, man. I can't take too much more of a singing. Look, I have to deal with him every week. Gio, save me in your prediction, please.
Like everyone's thinking about, probably a low-scoring affair. I got a 20-13 to San Jose State.
Gio, short, sweet, to the point, no singing, just how I like it. Now let's go to the veteran, but also rookie of the podcast, Max B. Look, don't ruin the name of Max. This is big. This is huge. Who you got?
All right, so Gio kind of came a little bit close to my prediction. I think San Jose State is going to be very successful running the ball. I think their offense is actually going to play relatively well. Might not always end up in 7, but I think they'll get some points on the board. Wyoming, I think, will really, really have trouble against this San Jose State defense. I don't think they're really going to be able to pass the ball. I think their run game will struggle compared to what they're usually used to experiencing. I see another low-scoring game. I think it's going to be like 20-7 is what I'm going with. San Jose State wins.
Well, there you have it. He says 20-7 San Jose State. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to give you the over-unders and the betting lines of this game. Look, according to ESPN here, the power index gives the Spartans a 54% chance to win. They have a better chance to win this game against the 4-3 Wyoming Cowboys than they did against the winless UNLV Rebels. So that's interesting. Look, the Spartans are a minus 3-point favorite. They're minus 150 on the money line. Over-unders 41. And we've all got the under, ladies and gentlemen. All of us. And look, ladies and gentlemen, my score, I've got 24-14. Look, this game is 24-14 San Jose State. This is by far and away, this is a easy momentum builder game on paper for the Spartans. Look, like I said, this is not an easy win. They need to put in work, but if they execute and do their plan and stop taking pre-snap penalties and holds, they will win this game handedly. With the new quarterback coming in, this is a time to exploit it and gain momentum, as Max Beckholt was saying. Look, ladies and gentlemen, Derek mentioned it before. He'll be on the broadcast on KSJS. Fox Sports 2, the number 2, like Derek Jeter, my New York Yankees. They still stink. But look, we're out here. This has been the Spartan Football Preview Show. Check out our stuff on the Spear. We've just released a magazine. It was a club sports magazine for those that were watching and listening. We've all got articles in there. All of our names are in there. Gio had a good article. Derek and I editors. Max B, another editor on this. Lots of good photos. So check out our Twitter, the Spear SJSU, thespearsjsu.com. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever it might be. We're doing our best to get these podcasts from YouTube onto the site, ladies and gentlemen. Go check out our new magazine. We got lots of good writers, and we're already working on the next one. So check us all out on all platforms, the Spear SJSU or SJSU the Spear. Check us all out on social media. All of our Twitter handles are on there. We know Max B's got his Oscar nominations already up on his Twitter. He's checking in about the NFL. But ladies and gentlemen, for Derek Au, Max Beckholt, and the legend Gio Gaxiola, I'm Max Miller. This has been the Spear Spartan Football Preview Show.